Welcome back to the channel, you guys. Welcome back to Ironclad RC. I'm Big B. So today, I'm going to do a rudder comparison. I have three different rudders here for these larger scale catamarans, right? They typically use a pull rudder and hydraulic assembly, right? So I have three different brands here that I want to show you guys. Each of them actually have their own benefits and drawbacks. I also have the corresponding hydraulics for each company. Okay, these rudders will actually fit boats in the 45 to 57 inch range, right? Plus or minus on each of those numbers, right? We have a TFL, a CCFP, and an MHZ here, okay? The hydraulics for each, I have them labeled. I have them lined up on their hinges here, okay? I did have them lined up on their hinges, and I have minimum throw and their maximum throw so you guys can see the length of each, okay? This is the servo we'll be using for this build. It's a 74 kilogram AFGRC with a CCFP servo horn and an MHZ mount, okay? So I really don't know where to start at. Okay, so maybe I could start with the rudder blade length, and that'll kind of get us going. I'm going to compare all of them, okay? So I'm going to measure from the bottom of the base to the bottom of the rudder, okay? So that's 120 millimeters on the TFL. The CCFP is 96, and the MHZ is 116. Okay, so the CCFP is the shortest blade. MHZ is the second longest, and the longest blade is the TFL pulling from the bracket. So let's go with the width here. 38.7, 32.6, 32.7, and the MHZ is 27. Okay, so as you can see, each of these blade profiles is slightly different. The TFL and the CCFP have a taper on the front and a taper on the trailing edge. Okay, the MHZ leading and trailing edge, it's like a straight knife blade rudder. It's actually the thinnest rudder of the three at 5 millimeter blade thickness. CCFP 6, and the TFL is also 6. Okay, so all three of them kind of look different, right? They all have a different look to them. The CCFP here is actually the most scale looking of the three, right? Has a billet look, just like a scale offshore cat. Has a replaceable steering arm, rudder arm right here, double shear. Okay, double shear. A nice heavy duty mounting base and hinge block. It doesn't have a lot of throw. I mean, it does, but it don't. That's actually okay, because you're not going to use that much throw on one of these catamarans, right? The TFL rudder comes in like second in scale looks. It has a semi-scale billet look, right? And the hinge pin looks pretty beefy on it. It's actually a nice looking rudder. Okay, real thick. The rudder arm is actually also replaceable. It's got a little longer steering arm So that may have its setbacks and positives, right? The MHZ also has a heavy duty looking base. It's actually the thickest, and actually, yeah, it's the thickest of the three. The hinge is a little smaller, and your rudder arm is actually set forward on this one. Actually, I don't know. It's about the same position on all three, right? The MHZ actually has the farthest setback. When I say setback, that's from the back of the boat, the transom of the boat, to the leading edge of the rudder. The setback is somewhere in that 41 millimeter range. Leading edge setback. The CCFP setback is about 16 millimeters, and the TFL is smaller than that at about 8 millimeters, 8 millimeters for the TFL. So you can see that the TFL has the closest leading edge setback, CCFP, and then the MHZ is farthest back. Rudder kickback. All three of them actually kick back, right? The TFL uses a brass breakaway screw. Okay, when you're running 100+ miles per hour, you don't want your rudder to kick up, right? You don't want to lose steering. You don't want to lose control. So I kind of like the brass breakaway, right? You tighten down on this, you get the brass breakaway tight, and it will kick up. When you hit something hard enough, something big enough that will actually break the boat, that breakaway will break off. I've used them on several boats and it works fine. The CCFP and the MHZ actually have a pinch style kick up action. Okay, so the CCFP actually has a single screw that holds the rudder in place. I guess they rely on the tight machining work, the tight tolerances for a tight pinch, right? So you just loosen this screw up a little bit, and you kind of move it. You know, you don't want it to kick up easy. You want to be able to force it a little bit to get it to kick up, right? Because like I said, you don't want to lose steering at 100 miles an hour. So single pinch on the CCFP. The MHZ has a dual pinch. You pinch it on the hinge, and then it actually has a bottom screw and a cutout on the blade, so you can actually set the pinch according, right? I kind of like this. You know, I kind of like that. I was thinking, or we were thinking, with the CCFP, we could actually maybe remove one of these billet screws if we think we need it, and we could put a brass breakaway through here, right? Just thinking out loud here, boys. I don't think it needs it. I think this thing pinches the best out of all three, right? I got it tightened down so you guys can actually see the action. So all three rudders are great. These two have the replaceable rudder arm. This one does not. It actually has a thicker arm, right? I think the CCFP may be actually the most durable of the three. Not only. It has a short steering arm. The geometry should be actually better with a short steering arm, right? You're not going to have as much, it's not going to be as touchy, right? This one has a longer arm, and these could break. I mean, I'm not saying they will. I'm saying they could, because they're cut out. They're rather thin. They are double shear, but you can replace them if they do, right? None of them have matching bolt patterns. Actually, you know what? This is the bolt pattern for this MHZ. Actually, you know what? I lied, because this actually does line up. It lines up close enough that you can actually bolt an MHZ rudder or the TFL rudder up to your boat, right? Okay, so that's lined up on each other. So the geometry is a little bit lower. The arm's a little bit lower on the MHZ, but the bolt patterns do line up on each of these. So these two cross-reference bolting it onto the boat. The hydraulics may, you know, need to be moved up or down, but they bolt right up. Matching bolt pattern there. Not so much on the rudder arm. Okay, so the MHZ came with pretty much everything you need. I mean, you can buy a whole package, right? It comes with a dummy hydraulic. So the MHZ hydraulics are not a true hydraulic like the CCFP and the TFL. It's a dummy, right? So you actually would mount the dummy up here. It would go to the top of the rudder arm, right? And then you have your pull cable that gets mounted on the bottom. In my opinion, it's kind of like a faux double shear. So you have your pull steering here and then a fake dummy hydraulic. Hence the reason why I actually had to order the CCFP and the TFL, because myself and Mina, we weren't really after a dummy hydraulic. It has its benefits, right? It does have its benefits. We're going to go with the CCFP simply because it's longer. It's the longest of the three hydraulics. Now the CCFP, it did not come with a cable. You have to actually provide your own cable. You'll need to actually Loctite this into the hydraulic piston here, okay, the arm for your pull cable. Now I'm actually using a 1.3 millimeter pull cable for this. I have a whole roll of it here. The TFL is actually 1.3 as well, and the MHZ I think is the thickest at 1.3. Okay, so they're all 1.3 millimeter cables. The CCFP hydraulics has four points of contact on the hull, okay, and then you have your hydraulic arm. It has a CNC aluminum steering rod end, okay. The MHZ has 4 points of contact as well, but it's actually dummy, like I said, and it has a ball joint for a rod end. All right, and then the TFL has 2 points of contact on the hull itself and the shortest steering arm. Okay, so this, I really don't think this is, it's definitely not going to work on this boat. So if you got a Bulgarian and you're thinking about going TFL, pull, it's not going to work. It's not going to work. Okay, the CCFP may be your best option, or find a larger scale hydraulic somewhere. This is definitely going to work. Okay, I actually like the TFL hinge method. They actually have a pin that goes through it. A hole is drilled through that larger pin for the hinge, and the cable goes through the pin itself, and then you have a E-clip on the back, on the bottom. The CCFP, it's got 2 set screws, one on each side, and the actual piston kind of floats in there, right? Which is fine, that works. I kind of like the TFL. It is a pain in the ass to sometimes get the wire through there, because you have to have this pin lined up in the actual hydraulic arm. But I like this design on the hinge, right? The CCFP, it's good. And you probably won't have to fight getting the cable through there, right? But you are going to actually need to Loctite 638, green Loctite, a cable in. You're going to have to get the cable, right? TFL come with everything needed. The MHZ came with everything needed. The CCFP parts did not. They did not come with everything. We have to source or find a pull tube, a sheath like TFL, or what MHZ provided, a brass tube. which we got it. It's fine, but you need to know this. If you get from CCFP, you're going to need mounting hardware to mount your rudder. It did not come with mounting hardware. Unlike the TFL, it came with everything. MHZ come with everything. As far as price, I would say the TFL pull hydraulics, it actually was the cheapest. Like I said, you cannot use these hydraulics on this boat, but the rudder will work for this boat, right? The CCFP was the most expensive. It didn't come with everything you need. You have to source and find all the screws, mounting hardware, cable, the pull sheath, the whole nine. So it's the nicest of the three. 775 aluminum. The rudder blade did have some scratches. We did have a little scuff on here, which I filled in. It should be fine, but the CCFP is the best looking and the most quality, and you pay for it. The MHZ, it's about middling, right? It's you could buy just a rudder, you could get the whole kit. Okay, so it's actually a few days later. I wanted to put the rudders on the boat. I almost forgot. I was editing the video and I was like, well, damn, I'm sure these guys would like to see these on the boat. This video mounting the rudder and hydraulics will be coming out soon, and I just didn't think you guys would want to wait that long. So this is the TFL rudder. I'm just going to hold them up here for you just to kind of see and get a judge. I got the drives installed. It's a nice looking rudder. It's really going to be a tough decision, you know. It really is. It's going to be a tough decision. Okay, that's the TFL. We'll go with the CCFP because those are pretty similar. Okay, pay attention to the setback, the overall looks of it. This one looks pretty good on here, man. The whole, it's in rough shape. It has a lot of boo-boos, a lot of blistering, and the gel coat that needed to be worked out. So I'm filling and doing body work as I'm building the boat. This one looks pretty damn good. Looks pretty good. This is the MHZ. I think MHZ went more for performance over looks. It's rather basic. It don't have all the bling bling, you know. Don't have double shear. You know, the thinnest and longest blade width and thickness wise. So I mean, I'm pretty sure this one's more of a performance oriented, whereas the TFL it's kind of like for looks. I mean, it's got a wide rudder. It's probably very performance oriented, right? Take a look at how wide the arms are. So with these wider arms, you can actually mount your hydraulics closer to center with the wider arms because it'll clear this standoff right here, right? See that? And then the CCFP has the shortest of the three arms, so the hydraulics are going to be mounted a little farther from center, farther out from center, so it clears the standoff in a left or right turn, you know. So I think we're going to go with this one. It's such a tough decision. Mino, why'd you leave this to me? Oh, that's a nice looking rudder. We're going to go with this. All three of them look good. They all have their advantages, disadvantages. Like I said, I wish I could have put the hydraulics on with them, but it's late. I almost forgot to do this part, and hopefully this video helps you guys out. You know, three very popular rudders for some larger catamaran, twin catamarans that get a center mounted rudder, you know. We'll see you guys next time. Thanks for watching. Hopefully this found you well. Oh yeah, we got 20,000 subscribers. Yeah, it just happened. So thank you. Thank you to the boat gang. 20,000. We'll speak more on that in a later video. This one's already long. We'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.